Bubbles. Are we in a bubble? Let's break it down. What's a bubble? A bubble is when people will pay more for a thing than its historic value or are irrationally buying it to make a profit. The housing bubble, the 2008 bubble burst, what happened with that? Well, honestly, people were buying houses on credit that they didn't deserve having. I mean, this stuff's crazy. Anyway, let's put up the graph of the Fed of median home price for the last forever. And we'll put a line up and you can see the track of the line. And initially it looks very scary because we are starting to get above that line and then we've dropped back down a little bit. Nationally, some home prices are down in some areas. So with every bubble in basically recent history, the real issue was people speculatively buying. People speculatively buying real estate in Japan in the 80s. People speculatively buying .com stocks. People speculatively buying houses. Nobody's really speculatively buying houses right now. There are some investors, right? We know of a large percentage of investors that have bought houses. And by that I mean institutional investors, not your little mom and pop investors like me and you, right? Big institutional investment firms have bought quite a lot of houses. Most of these have deep enough pockets where if the economy downturns, they're not gonna lose their shirt, but there's a lot of money in that pile. I don't think we're gonna see an issue there, right? Every single one of us that has bought a house in the last 5 years had to be fairly well qualified for that. I mean, we're still really not going above even a 50% debt to income ratio on most loans that's pretty conservative, especially compared to what caused the last housing bubble. The only thing that's scary is that we're coming off the curve a little bit. Like we've gone above the we'll say, historical average. But again, we've broke this down before. The issue, I think why that's happening is because we didn't build any houses for like a decade, or let's put it this way, not enough houses. And we really still haven't built enough houses. Yes, there's gonna be a lot of rentals coming online, which people point to that as gonna be causing some problems. There's a ton of apartment buildings being built across the country, but not everyone wants to live in apartments. In fact, most people don't want to live in apartments. They want single family houses, they want duplexes, they want something other than that sort of condo be stacked on top of each other, living right next to, above and below your neighbor. So here's the deal. I think it's still a supply and demand thing, not a speculative buying thing. In fact, I'm certain of it. Now, I'm not saying that I'm predicting the future and that we're not going to see prices go down. We absolutely could. Do I think we're in a bubble though? No. But here's the scary part. Crystal ball right here. All right, we're a little bit after Halloween right now. Let's get our crystal ball and let's predict the future. I think as soon as the Fed gets inflation under control and rates go down, I think that's when we might make a bubble. It's still gonna be economically sound, but it's gonna get crazy. I think home prices are gonna price so many people out. As soon as rates come down, everyone's gonna jump in that's been pent up wanting to sell but didn't because they didn't want to lose their low interest rate. And I think a bunch of those are gonna become rentals because people don't want to give up that interest rate even still. Just to make sense to keep it. Which just keeps tightening that noose around supply. We're not building enough, builders aren't building enough. Builders have slowed down their building dramatically because they're scared of what's to come. And I get it, it is a little scary. It feels scary. It feels a little bit like a bubble. But fundamentally, it's not. Supply and demand. We don't have enough supply for the demand. And if that continues, it's very, very unlikely we're gonna see a bubble burst. That's the one. If you think I'm wrong, that's cool. I'd love to hear about it. If you can point it out with all kinds of data and facts, that also would be super cool because I'm always looking to learn new things. And let's be honest, predicting the future is hard. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, hit that notification. Send it to somebody that needs to hear this, that's living in fear and thinking that the world's gonna come to an end. I mean, it's not. We're gonna keep going. I know people that pulled money, that sold their house and sat on the money for the last 5 years because they thought all this was gonna fall off a cliff and they were gonna make a ton of money and buy a house cheap. Well, now they've got 5 years of depreciating money just sitting there doing nothing. That's stupid. But they thought they were right. And I think I'm right. Time will tell. Ow. This little tiny one's gonna be hard to blow a big bubble with. Oh, one in my coffee.